Okay. And happy to have you, Yvonne Nobles, in this episode. Welcome everyone to the Women's Empowerment Series. This series are made for women, with inviting amazing female leaders from around the world, like you today, to share their story, to share the work they're doing, and to share how they are creating an amazing impact and building a legacy behind them. The objective is to inspire, to motivate, to share some values, and to be a role model. So, welcome. I'm so honored and happy to have with me today Yvonne Nobles, connecting from Miami.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Awesome.
It's morning time for you, isn't it? Early morning,
Yeah,
yeah?
yeah. We have that big time disparity. It's only 11 a.m.
Good. So, how are you doing? How is your work? So happy to have you. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Tell us about you. Who is Yvonne?
Oh, thank you. So
Mm.
I am Yvonne Nobles. I am a transformative coach, and essentially I help women around the globe deal with stress because
Oh,
there's so much of it these days. And when we allow it to overwhelm us, it keeps us frozen, it keeps us small. So just in eliminating those barriers, those walls, I'm able to get women to open up, level up, and live their best life.
I love that. Oh my God. This is so good. Because you actually speak into every woman on the planet, right?
And I do have a focus on career women in particular. And
Okay.
many times they want to transition into owning their own business. So
Yeah.
budding entrepreneurs,
Mm,
because yeah, there's its own level of stress that comes with making transitions. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah. So this is amazing. So you actually career women who are not, they want a boost to be able to go on and be their own uh, entrepreneurs or solopreneurs or business owners. Yeah.
And a lot of it stems from my personal experience because it took
Okay.
me nearly 20 years to finally start my own. I was in
It
corporate
did.
America and I was just
Oh
living
my.
the dream. And what would happen is you get a promotion or you do
Yes.
something
Yes.
new and you make more money and you get afraid. So, yeah, it's a
That's
process.
right. And the projects and the work is also interesting, isn't it? I mean,
Mhm,
Millie, when you work with the large institutions, it's like fascinating. You don't get bored,
mhm, mhm.
but it never stops. So 20 years, that's good. Which means you became an entrepreneur with so much expertise and baggage. That's incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I that was one thing that I thought would be quintessential to pull
Of
on all that
course.
experience because another thing is usually when I start a new role, I was just trying to stay quiet in my little corner, but then somehow I would be asked to go into management. So it was always
Mm.
about helping teams. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, this is something that I'd love to do, just leading teams, especially because before I went into corporate America, I was tutoring.
Mhm.
And for me, helping a child light up and step into their
Oh,
greatness was
yeah.
just the beginning of knowing that women who are stuck can do the same.
That's great. So you were tutoring as student or just after you graduated?
So it was as a student, also after graduation, and I
Yeah.
would do for a while high school students, but my favorite were
Yeah.
elementary because they
Really?
don't have any baggage. They're completely open to trying anything. They're so brave.
And they're
And
sweet to be around. Yeah,
yep.
I like that. Yeah. So today, as a transformative coach, I mean, what does it entail really to take someone so that they have less stress?
First, I have to get to know the individual.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times women aren't aware of some of the triggers and
Mm,
stressors that are
mm,
in their day to day. So
mm.
once we start unlayering and just unpackaging all of that, because it's also a matter of getting to know the woman as she used to be, as she is now, and what she wants to become. So
Yes.
all of those components
I like
together
that.
form this very elaborate masterpiece. And it's
Yeah.
about getting it one step at a time. So,
I love the way you organize that. I mean, and do you think they are completely different when you look at one woman and like how she used to be, how she is, and how she wants?
oh, for sure. And I think sometimes we create our own stress because we're living in one of those versus having
Mhm.
alignment between them.
Wow. Oh, I love that. How do you align that? It means like there is some, it has to be weaved. It's like you don't completely change from one to another.
Yeah, there's nothing that happens
Like,
like that. It's always
mm,
gradual. And then sometimes because fear or imposter syndrome shows up, then we
mm,
find ourselves regressing. And we can go back as far as childhood. Whatever situations or circumstances are triggers for each person. But what I love too is I have group component because that
okay.
supportive community is essential.
It's
So
good. It's
perhaps you
true.
can learn from a woman that's just a couple steps ahead from you, or
That's
there's someone that you can help based on what you're going through currently.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
it makes you feel more empowered because when you feel you can help someone, because like, I've been there, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. So you feel like you boost your confidence. I like
Absolutely.
that. I agree so much. I mean, even the work I do, there is a lot of masterminds and a lot of groups because of the collective intelligence. There is such
Yes.
power in it.
Yes.
And it's interesting that you bring in this up. I mean, mainly for women, creating the womanhood, is that what you thrive for? Is it mostly because you work with women mostly, you said, yeah?
Yeah. And so the reason why I think it's so essential is whether you're a career woman or you are a budding entrepreneur, many times you find yourself alone. And
Mm,
so you start believing the stories or these inside possibilities, and you don't realize that the potential is so much more. So when you can
yes.
get in a room with someone that's cheering you on, or who's standing where you want to be, or who you can help lift, that energy is it's contagious and it's motivating. So you don't give
Yeah.
up.
I love that. I love that. That's true. You don't give up.
Mhm.
It's like you talked about stress,
Mhm.
but once you take out the stress, you need the motivation. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so there's different levels. So there's
Good
a
to us.
distress, which is the bad, condemning, holding you back kind of stress. But then there's
Hmm.
eustress, which is that good motivational component. So when
Yeah.
you have a deadline or accountability or just things that are like, okay, a goal, all of that can really help you. But it's also about identifying what's goes in which container. So you're not necessarily using bad stressors to keep
That's
you moving.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah. And how can you make the difference? Because
So a lot of it, I use different process. One that I think is very, very important is journaling. So
okay,
I think
okay,
sometimes we get so busy and we get so caught up in trying to check off a box of a to-do list
we
that we
do. We
forget
do.
to take a breath and
Hmm.
feel into where am I now? What am I trying to accomplish today?
This is so good.
And
This is
what
so
I
good.
do with my journaling, instead of just writing blindly, I encourage women to follow certain prompts because
Okay.
that will put them in a mental and emotional state to
Uh-huh.
really empower themselves and look for
Yes,
ways to empower the ones around them. Because many times it's not just us, we have family,
we
we have
do.
those that we're caring for. Um,
Responsibilities.
it's a lot.
It's yeah, it's just like thinking about it was like, it's a lot,
Mhm. But I
That's true.
think when the biggest element that I'm excited about, because I know I mentioned to you off air, I'm pivoting,
Yeah.
is what I've incorporated into my coaching programs
Mhm.
is a cruise. And the reason for that is because when a woman can escape her day to day, where she's doing all
Yes.
the cleaning and the cooking and everything else in the running, and she gets a moment to fully reset and to
Mm.
really just pour into herself so she can then go back and continue to serve those that rely on her, it changes everything.
I love that. Is that what you call a cruise?
Yeah. So the cruise is
Ah,
literally a 7-day journey where you're
okay.
starting at one port and we take you through the Caribbean. And each day we have different activities and events. So by the
Really?
time you come back home, you are a new
Yes.
woman.
You're a new one. I love that. Oh, excellent. And
Yeah,
so you do the training in the cruise. The cruise
exactly.
trip, and that's probably the very innovative. Never heard.
I love it because so in essence, many people have cruised, but to have something that's also a self-healing journey. So you're
Yes.
merging both so that by the
That's
time
right.
you go back, you have these tools that
Mhm.
position you to deal with
Mhm.
whatever is on your plate and
Mhm.
more. And
And I like that
yeah,
because the
I'm
water.
obsessed with it.
Tell me what? Huh?
I'm obsessed with it because here's
Oh,
the thing, I don't think I shared with you. When my last corporate role, the last 5 years, I
okay.
was selling cruises. So
Oh,
I would
that
have an
was the
opportunity.
business.
Yep, so I was
Oh,
helping others. I was employed by different cruise lines, and I
uh-huh.
would sell the cruises, and it was officially a vacation planner.
Yeah.
So what I learned to do in that process was everyone was cruising for a different reason.
Okay.
While some people are going just for fun,
That's
others
right.
are celebrating a special occasion, and then there
True.
were others that they just were so stressed out and they
Mm,
needed to get away. And
okay.
so I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if there was a way to get a woman that's so stressed out to get the tools she needs so that when she goes back home, it wasn't just another cruise, but now she's in a position to really show up powerfully and to understand that the treatment she's getting on board, because they
Mm-hmm.
treat you like royalty, it's not special treatment. It's what
Wow.
she deserves to be treated like.
I like it. It's
And so she
deserving to be treated.
there you
We
go.
have a question for you from the chat. When is the next cruise? You got some people interested.
That's awesome. So the next one is August 13th. It's just 5
Okay.
months away. So if
Okay.
anyone wants to get in touch with me, I'm gonna make sure you have my contact info.
Oh, yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
I invite, please, because there's limited space now. I have one
Mm-hmm.
in August and then there's another one in November. So this
Okay.
first year, I'm just doing a couple, but eventually
Okay.
I want to get it up to 4. So I'm doing every quarter.
Amazing. So this is going to be the first cruise you organize with the
This
coaching
is
and
the
the training.
inaugural one.
Oh,
Yes.
right. Another one. I love the name. Very good.
Yeah.
So where is it going to go from and
So,
Mhm.
yeah, I have some amazing ports. I'm going to get them for you now because I was, okay, so I think I'm on cruise number 12 personally.
Mhm.
But I'm like, yeah, I need to make sure that people who have this experience can understand and start kind of painting a picture in their head of
Yes.
every day you get new scenery. Um, that
Yeah.
one in
That's life,
August
really,
is
when you
going to
think about
be
it. Okay.
Grand Cayman,
Okay.
Cozumel,
Uh-huh.
and Bimini in the Bahamas. And
Bahamas.
then the
Mhm.
one in November goes to San Juan, St. Martin, St. Thomas, and Dominican Republic. So they're
Wow.
different
Dominican
areas
Republic.
of the Caribbean. Hmm.
That's amazing. That's very tempting. And how long is that for? Is it a week or 2 weeks
Yeah,
or
they're a week long. And
week long?
so each of them, they start and end in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
So while I'm in Miami, it's about half hour away with
Yeah.
traffic.
To you, it's
So,
perfectly convenient.
yep. So I just go, we meet everyone. And the beauty of it is anyone who gets in touch, I serve as the concierge for you up
Okay.
until the cruise. So your vacation starts before you show up,
Oh,
which means you never
yes.
have to speak to the travel agent. Just give me
Mhm.
your first and last name, your date of birth, and I handle all the details. So from the moment that you
Amazing.
step on board, it's amazing.
So, and are you going to prepare training for them? How is it going to be?
Absolutely. So there's different components. The agenda involves, we spoke about the journaling component, so we'll do live
Okay.
journaling together. There's
Okay.
also going to
Every
be,
day. So you wake up and you start with that.
yes, and then there's
Okay.
going to be a couple of seminars. So we'll have live sessions together. And there's also going to be, I think movement is very important. So we're
Okay.
going to be meeting up at the gym and overlooking the ocean. We'll be doing our
Mm.
Pilates in the morning. And there's
Nice.
also going to be the component of share, because I think when people have an opportunity to tell their story live, it carries more weight
That's
than
true.
if it's just one-on-one. So
That's true.
just a bunch of levels, and there's a process. I call it the new you wow method. So there's
Yeah.
actually different steps and tiers to getting
Hmm.
through to your breakthrough, so that
Hmm.
in the end, you not only feel like a new woman, but you have those resources to continue on that new path once you're back home. And I think you might have frozen. I hope you can still hear me.
Incredible. So what does WOW stands for?
Oh, you're back. Okay. It froze for a moment.
Sorry,
I was like,
I
"Oh,
went
no."
Wi-Fi. So, okay, this is incredible. So what does WOW stands for? So new
Ah,
you, that's really some you are coming as the new person. So that and the
mhm.
wow. What
The
is the wow?
wow is because oftentimes when we change, other people are impressed and they'll ask, "What's different about you?" But this wow is because I want the woman herself to be blown away and
By
amazed
herself.
at who she is.
Um,
Mhm.
I love that. New you, wow. I think it's amazing because that's true. Because when you change, people will like, what is different? There's something different about you. But it
Yes,
starts by you noticing that you actually are changing and you're
I
doing
agree.
things.
And
And do you
that
feel
right there is powerful.
it is? Oh, yes, it really is. And so, do you feel 1 week is good, is enough to have someone transform?
Yeah, in fact, because of the really deep dive that we do, now here's the thing. Before you get on the cruise and after, there's still nurturing. So there's more elements to the coaching program overall, but it
Mhm.
is the cruise where the bulk of the work happens. So, yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So it means like it's a process. It's not just, one, you come and we start and then you leave. It's the whole preparation. That's
exactly.
amazing. And you focus mostly on stress
Yeah,
or,
that is predominantly the focus, but because of that, if you think for a moment for a woman who has tremendous stress, and especially if she's not even aware of where it's coming from. So once you're able to contain that and use it instead to your advantage, now whatever you're trying to accomplish becomes doable. So maybe
mm,
you want to get a promotion on your job, which means more
yes.
money. Or maybe you want to finally take that leap and start a company. Or maybe
Yeah.
you want to fall in love. A stressed woman
Yeah.
usually repels a partner, but someone who's at peace and empowered, attraction
Attract
happens. So
always.
all of these things go hand in hand, and
That's true.
it seems that the first most important culprit is the stress.
It is. I agree with you. And it's just so well said because as soon as you master and you get rid of your stress and you find peace, then you become a magnet to everything, whatever it
Yeah,
is, I mean, like you
yeah,
want, which
yeah,
you don't when you're stressful. And the
yeah,
funny part is that sometimes women feel like, oh, I need to work harder. So they emphasize it and they just like add more to their
yeah.
own stress by working harder, by pushing themselves more.
Yep,
Yeah.
dig the hole deeper. And so that's my number one rule. No
Mm.
hustle culture. It's less
No.
is more. Less
Well,
is more.
we didn't
So,
know. We didn't grow up like this. We thought that we
no.
had to work so hard.
Mhm.
Oh, so much. So many old habits and so many old paradigm need to be shifted. What
Yes.
brought you to want to help women? What
It
did it?
was especially I believe the trigger for me was the pandemic,
Yeah,
because when the world shifted,
yeah,
many of those that were carrying the weight of it were women. So whether you were a mother and your child was at home from school, or you were a working woman that now had to
mm,
do more in the home and
mm,
just learn that transition, or maybe you had a spouse who lost his job, so
yeah.
everything fell on you.
That's
And
true.
of course, the loss that many had,
Mm,
whether it was relatives or friends, all of
mm,
that emotional stress and those burdens, that's when it became clear to me that if I could help women alleviate some of that,
yeah.
then the world would be a better place.
It will be. That's beautiful. So it's really, you started with the COVID feeling like you want to do something to make the world better.
I
Yeah.
feel like, and so I'm glad you asked this question because the
Yeah.
calling I think comes earlier,
Yeah.
but we kind of run from it because we're trying
Mm,
to do
true.
other.
Yeah,
But
because
yeah, people,
we need to, because you need Yvonne to take you through it, right?
and
And there
so
was no
yeah,
Yvonne yet.
and in addition to what came within, there was also I have coaches, I have mentors,
Of
because
course.
the higher you go, I call it the glass ceiling. The higher you
Mm,
go, the denser the glass. So the more
mm,
things show up that you have to work through and facilitate, but when you have someone that is guiding you to see your blind spots and giving you the tools to work through what you think is a barrier, that just becomes another stepping stone so you
yes.
can get to that next thing. And so, yeah, for me, people think I'm a little nutty because it was at the height of the pandemic that I said no to my corporate job and focused only on coaching. So it's been a very
Wow.
wonderful adventure.
Good for you because that takes a lot of courage to do that. It's like
Yes.
courage and also self-confidence because you knew that you are on to something great.
Yeah.
And
And it's a beautiful thing when you see a person light up when they
I
finally
do.
get that
That's
there
true.
is no barrier that's too big to get
That's true.
past.
That is so true. That is so well said. And when you help someone and you see the results, that makes you even more motivated to keep on doing it. That's
Yes.
very well said. Yeah. And I think when we work on empowering women, on helping women, on working with them, I think there is nothing more fulfilling than seeing the impact. um,
Absolutely.
it's incredible, and it's amazing what you're doing, and we need more women like this because the world needs a lot of us. Yeah, and that's why, I mean, I am doing this series because I want to say, look, there are so many leaders helping. Just reach out. Just
Yeah.
don't stay, feeling lost and overwhelmed. Because it's often we think we don't know, it's just gonna, I don't need it, I'm not just gonna work harder, I'm just gonna do things. But no, get help, get guidance.
Yes.
um, Shout
And,
out there.
for those that might be thinking, it's not necessary, I always encourage them to look at anyone that's huge. So whether it's a athlete or, a star performer, um, they always have a coach. They
They
always
do.
have someone because it's a combination of the belief and support and the guidance. You can't figure this thing out on your own. It's far too much.
Yeah, and exactly. And guidance, it just helps you go faster. It will take
Yep.
you much longer. And by the time you can be closer to your results, you give up because it's just way too long. And
And
that's
that's
what
the key. I love what you said. All you're doing is collapsing time.
really
So
do.
why take 20 years like I did
Mm.
when you can do
Uh-huh.
it a lot faster and get
Yeah,
where you
it's
want
true.
to be?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which you could have done, like, if you look back, you think you could have been an entrepreneur much earlier.
Yeah, in fact, I have my husband to shout out here because he was
Yeah.
trying for so why don't you do your own? But you start thinking,
Really?
I don't know, I'm not sure, and you
Yeah.
just drag your feet. And then
Mm.
once you take that leap, you're like, wow, I could have been doing this. And another thing I'm glad you asked about too, looking back, when I was, let's say, 6 years old,
Okay.
my father got an assignment in Germany.
Okay.
And I had the opportunity to meet Holocaust survivors, some
Oh,
of my
wow.
dear friends. And the
Mm.
stories they told me, while appalling, were also inspiring because I
Mm.
used to wonder how someone could go through something so tragic and still be positive. How could they be smiling? And so
Mm.
for me, I learned it's not your circumstances that dictate your joy.
No.
It's your strength and your ability to
Exactly.
process and distinguish
Mm. Oh,
between
yeah.
what is good and what isn't. And so that kind of, I think, was the planting of the seed for me to go out and help others get to
Yeah.
this place where they can be okay, even in
Yeah.
a storm.
I love that. And this is so well said. And it's interesting that you draw this from a real life experience
Yeah.
because what get us always stuck, and people always don't want to move more because they like circumstances are this and that. When they change, I'll be better. When they change, I will smile. When they change, I'll dress better. I will sing. You can
Stop
start that.
waiting. Stop waiting.
Stop waiting. Yeah. Stop everything. Stop waiting. Just be happy. Create happiness. Wake up in the morning. I'm like, it's a happy day. What
Yes.
does it take to say that? No matter what it is, no matter what you go through, it's a
Mhm.
happy days. And it's funny because if when you are in that state of mind, then you can really see a beauty in the day. If you're not, you won't hear see the sun, you won't hear the birds, you want nothing will
Yeah.
come. Yeah.
Yeah. I came across a recent fact scientifically that every second we get 11 million bytes of data our brain is just thrown at,
Wow.
but we only process a few thousand. So
Wow.
the
Yeah,
empowerment happens when you choose which of the few thousand to see.
exactly.
So if you're looking at the positive, if you're looking at the empowering things, that's very different from dwelling on the tragedy and
That's
the
true.
problem and the suffering. And so
Yeah.
that can help you be in a place where you create the energy to go out and
Mhm.
do whatever you want. Yeah,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
no limit.
There is no limit. I love that. And I love the way you are coming into this industry with such an innovative approach. It
I'm
is.
excited.
Yeah. It's amazing. And plus, you make it like it's just vacation. You're not wasting your time because a
Right.
lot of people are like, I don't have time.
Yeah.
That's what we feel. But when you bring it as, it's enjoyable, it's rest, but it's also good for you, nurturing your soul with
Yes.
something that might even change your life, right?
Yeah. And that point you're making about time, not everyone may have the same money, but we all have the same
That's
amount
true.
of time. 24 hours every day. The question is, what are you going to do to maximize it? So for me, I'm trying to help women get a better return on investment with their time. Because when you
Mm-hmm.
spend your time in a way that empowers you to go do more, then
Yeah.
you just gained back so much versus
Yeah.
wasting it and just thinking, like you said, I don't have enough. Make
Yeah. I
time.
mean, yeah, and it's interesting because you said wasting it in thinking what to do. That's the thing. Instead of doing,
Yeah,
spend so much time thinking, so
yeah,
much time planning,
yeah.
so much time comparing, watching, jump, go on, start, whatever it
Do it.
is.
Yep.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, it's true. It's like it's all about starting, getting started. Yeah. And that's what you did. This is you are a great example about that because you started, you jumped in a time where nobody will dare because you're like, ah,
Well, you
scary.
know, though, again, I have one last story to share.
Yes.
I had this thing. This was in my teens. I went
Mhm.
to summer camp with like the state governor and your principal had to choose you. So these elite students, we all get together at this
Oh,
university and we do a bunch of trust building events.
okay.
So confession, I am deadly afraid of heights. But one of them,
Mm.
we had to put on a harness and walk
Yeah.
across a straight line. And on the
Wow.
pole at the end, we had to jump and reach for this bar, almost like a trapeze artist. I was mortified. So
I'm sure.
they kept doing a count. 1, 2, 3. I couldn't jump. I think they did it like 5 or
I don't
6
think I
times.
would either. It's scary.
The only way to get down is to leap. So finally I jumped, and for a 1 second I made contact with the bar, and then the fear kicks in. And when I landed on the ground, I noticed I broke a nail. It was bleeding. It was crazy, but I felt on top of the world because I took the leap.
Oh,
That's
wow.
where it's at. So, so I'm
This is
inviting every
that's
woman who's listening,
incredible
take the
that
leap.
you remember it so vividly. That was when
It
you
was
were,
scary.
I bet. I bet. But that's what's entrepreneur is. It's scary. It's not
Yes,
something easy. But when
yes,
you jump, then you get used to that cold water and the scary thing.
yep. And it
Yeah.
gives you the ability to do the next thing. But if you
Mhm.
never take the first leap, you'll be stuck. And we're our own worst enemy sometimes. You just got to get out of your head, take the leap.
So that's perfect way to end it with take the leap no matter what you want to do, just go jump, take the leap. So whoever is watching us, if you're interested in the cruise, I want to be able to drop your contact, Yvonne, here. So how can they get in touch with you?
I'll give an email. So the best
Okay.
way, if you send an email to new you wow
New
coach
you wow, let me say it,
coach at
new
gmail.com.
new you wow coach. Perfect, that's easy, you did it well. Yeah, no, it's perfect. Excellent. So
Yeah.
that's yeah, okay, so here's the thank you for putting that up. And then you can book for August or November, yeah, for your
And of course, all they would need to do is mention your name, Dr. Hind. That way I can make sure to give you a personal thank you. But that way I know where
um,
they came from.
okay.
Because yeah, that's vital. I want to make sure that you get recognition. So thank
Oh,
you so
sweet.
much for
That's
this
nice.
invite. It's been so
Oh my
fun.
God, absolutely. I mean, this is, I think you're such a beautiful woman doing amazing things, and I want to congratulate you. It's true.
Thank you.
And I think what I really like and I love about you is the fact that you have, gone through things, you've worked for all these years. So when you come to actually be a transformational coach that you stand for today and a leader in what you do, it's because you know what you're talking about. And that's a whole difference.
Yeah, just want to pay it forward. Just want to pay it forward.
It is true. It's like, there is a difference when somebody knows what they're talking about. It's because they've done the work. They woke up in the morning and we got nervous in the meetings, and you've done it over and over. And so, congratulations for the beautiful career and for this beautiful work you are doing for women.
Oh, same
It's
for
amazing.
you. This is awesome. A beautiful platform. Wishing you continued success.
It is. Thank you so much. And sending love to everyone. If you are watching us, let us know. And if you want to connect, your email is now on the chat. So they will be able to send you email to maybe book a cruise, to maybe,
Yay.
feel
Yeah, come
the
on
motivation.
board. Come on board and become a new you in just 7 days.
And I was trying to understand. I think I got the purpose. We have also some French listening to us. It's so good to see you. C'est en anglais. But we do have some French also
Oh,
videos. Thank you.
bonjour.
Bonjour, voilà. Excellent. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.